R.W. Bray is running for Texas Senator of District 6, which stretches from north of Houston in the Aldine area all the way to Baytown. He is an African American Republican that is very passionate about the community in which he lives in. If he is elected, he says he will work hard on changing the education system and also help incorporate entrepreneurial programs to teach young students how to start their own business. Mr. Bray and I met up in a West Houston restaurant to talk more about his views and his goals for District 6.
I want to start off by asking you, so who is R.W. Bray as a person and as a politician?
Yeah, you're pretty good. The honesty of it all is that, I believe in something called Socratic politics. I don't believe in modern day politics. Modern day politics and political science has to do with demographics and numbers, right? It has to do with where the blacks live and where the Latinos live and how many people live in this precinct and all that stuff that I really don't necessarily call politics. Socratic politics was about one individual or group of individuals not making a difference for the greater good, but making a difference for the greater man, right? For the individual man. What kind of laws, what kind of statutes can be passed on a governing level that can build out or bring out the best in man, the greater of man. And so when I think about my personality or I think about politics, I got to be honest with you, it's hard to divert the two because I try to live my life in a way where I'm a passion conduit. And if I don't have a personal interest in something you're doing, I can incorporate or introduce you to someone who does have a like passion. And even that is bringing out the greater good in people. I try to live a selfless life. Not that I'm always successful in it.
Right.
Like anybody, I think I'm through to selfishness, but I don't think that selfishness should be in the area of politics. So since I don't adopt it in my personal life, I see nothing advantageous about adopting it in my political life. And thus I see no reason why I should separate the two if political or politics is my passion. Just as well as you can't necessarily separate yourself from journalism. I won't be able to separate myself from my belief in politics and the efforts and the fruits that it can have on people's lives.
Now, you're running for Texas State Senate District 6, and as a Republican, and it's against Democrat Senator Mario, I hope I said his last name right. Gallegos, there we go, Jr. Why are you running?
It's just time. We've kind of operated under a system where we reward people with positions politically, but senatorial positions or even congressional positions, any positions of government, you aren't rewarded for the good you do, right? They will give you a position because you've been there for tenure, right, for a long time. So they reward you for staying in position that long. But that's not what a seat is about. A seat is about awarding an individual, awarding them an opportunity to make a difference. In my situation with District 6, we've had a guy that's been rewarded with the fact that he is a Latino in an area that's been earlier gerrymandered for Latino. And so it's not about really making a difference. It's ignoring the fact that we have, in the past 10 years, an average of 27,000 a year who aren't finishing high school. So what we have is individuals who start high school in my district who never finish in 4 years. To me, there's something wrong with that. There's a breakdown in what we're doing. There's no education reform. There's no one talking about school vouchers and equaling the playing field for all our children. No one's doing that. They're corralling Latinos and corralling African Americans so that they're forced to stay in these particular zones. And when they're forced to stay in those zones, they limit their opportunity. While other individuals are able to place their kids at different other schools, right? We have a huge population that are corralled and shackled to a zone. To me, that's not right. If a failing ISD is failing, it is costing surrounding residential areas property taxes. Those schools, they're not awarding anyone any true education if people are being forced to go there. And then they wonder why people are dropping out. They lose interest. So, my area struggles in the area of education. It struggles in the area of energy. Hey, I have an energy corridor at the bottom of my district that stretches from Pasadena to Baytown with opportunities that are countless and endless, bro. It's unbelievable how many opportunities exist in the southern part of my district. That's only a 30-minute drive down 45. And the disparities between Aldine and Pasadena, they are huge. You should look at the GPS. It's unbelievable. When we think about what it takes to live in comparison to Aldine and Pasadena, the disparity is unbelievable. And it's time to kind of even that. And the only way to even that is to provide jobs where individuals can travel down 45, make money in Pasadena or Baytown, and hike themselves back up to Galena Park, mid-Houston, or Aldine. And these are jobs that will be able to sustain them a lot better than the jobs they have now.
And going back to education, if you are elected, what are your goals for that district, including education-wise?
In the area of education is huge, and it's very hard to kind of say it in one city. But number one, I believe that it's time that we incorporate equal education. And what I mean by that is a fair opportunity for all families, for their children to be educated, and without being siphoned or corralled into zoning. I'm not an advocate for zoning. I'm just not. Because what it does is that it criminalizes our people. It criminalizes minorities. It criminalizes Latinos. Think about it. My residence is in an area where there's a failing ISD. Is it advantageous for me to bring my child to that school? No. So what's happening? You have parents that are lying on applications so that their children can attend schools in better zoning areas. Well, if someone catches you, you're criminalized. Your child is then forced to put themselves out of school and then bus back to the area where they want your kid to go to. That's not equal education, and it's not equal opportunity either. And I'm not saying that equal opportunity equals equal results. All right? That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that we have to truly provide equal opportunity for our children. We can't do that if we adopt zoning. Another thing I believe in is charter schools. Listen, charter schools are making a huge impact in the areas that matter. And not only that, they're also making a huge impact in the districts other than urban districts. When you think about Yes and KIPP and the powerful examples they've met by going into the urban community and making one heck of a bench, not only Spring Branch is the very first area that made an example, and now they're taking it a step further by integrating charter schools and ISDs. Because let's face it, ISDs, they have a huge following. Not only that, but they have a lot of money. Charter schools may not have as much money, but like I know, their curriculum is broad, and it's true education that's not stifled by teaching students how to pass a test.
Right.
It's about true education. So now you have Spring Branch, Yes, and KIPP integrating their strengths. And you'll see that in the urban communities. You got charter schools against ISDs, when in reality they could be working together. Frederick Douglass believes in collaboration. So do I. And we can collaborate on many things. You and I can collaborate as a journalist and a politician and making a difference in our area. So why can't an ISD and a charter school collaborate with their strengths and make a difference in that area? It's not rocket science. It's that many people are so selfish, like we said before, instead of selfless. All they're concerned about is keeping what they have. So in education, we have to start thinking outside the box. And if it takes homeschooling, which I am an advocate for, if it takes charter schools, which I am an advocate for, and if it takes creating equal opportunity education for our children, I'm an advocate for it.
But now, some folks will say that with the school districts, because of budget cuts, we're laying off teachers, resources are no longer available as they once were. Let's say, for example, when I was in school, all of that is going away because of budget cuts. So what do you say to that?
I believe that budget cuts are affecting our teachers, but it's not affecting our teachers' passion. I mean, the incorporation of KIPP came from teachers who were being siphoned by a test. The same thing for KIPP and Yes. So these are individuals who were actually teaching, administrators that were actually active, who stepped away from a secure job to pursue their passion. No different than you starting a blog. So you have teachers who want to teach. They're stifled because somebody from D.C. is coming down to teach them a test, to teach a test to children. How ridiculous does that sound? And then they're governed and mandated by merit? That's not teaching. All you do is stifle and stop them from really teaching their heart, teaching their passion. So when teachers have those type of barriers, right? When those caverns are being created between their opportunities of passion and the children, then we need independent people who are in legislative who can say, listen, let me take your passion and promote social entrepreneurship. Because that's what social entrepreneurship is. It's about providing an answer that is a need for the social devastation. It is a social devastation for us not to be able to keep our teachers. So what we need to do, we promote social entrepreneurship. We funnel money. We have the money. Since it's not going to the ISD, we funnel the money to the individual's dreams. And then what happens is that teachers are able to start their charter schools, start their little academies, and collaborate their gifts the same way they did it back before the 1920s.
On to higher education. According to your website, you said that you support with private funding for higher education. What does that actually mean? So, meaning, if we have, for an example, if we have private funding education where the government is venturing away funding higher education, but we have a single parent with 2 or 3 children, or we have just an average American with poor credit, how is that going to help them? What are their other options?
Well, it's twofold for me. I believe in private education, and I believe in private sector funding education. Let me give an example. Private schooling for me is highly synonymous to homeschooling, right? There are homeschooling aids that allow for a family, stay-at-home mom, or a mom that doesn't have a job, right? And we have a lot of those in our community who want to invest in their children's education to better their education and their own lot in life. So you have a lot of women and men who don't want their kids to be subject to the failures and the distractions that are in some of our ISDs, but they sit smack dead in the middle of the ISDs. There is no reason why a stay-at-home mom, whether she wants to or whether it's by the fact that she cannot find a job, to invest in her kids' education. If she wants to do that, she has every right to do that, provided she is able to stick to the guidelines that the state has already created. The state already has created a functionality for women and men who decide to teach their own children, a system in place to keep up with through the state, and they can educate their children, whether it's through elementary, just junior high, or even high school. Whatever they choose to do, they can do so. That's what I mean by private education. Private sector funded education is education that is fueled and equipped by the private sector. And here's an example. We have a huge industrial boom coming up in the next 3 to 4 years. Shell is breaking ground in July in the area in my district. They lack the men and women and skill sets to keep this thing going for the duration. That means they're looking for people that are going to stay with them 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This is the industry that's not going anywhere. This is a plant, this is a system that's not going to go anywhere, and they're looking for people who are going to put in the money, the time, and the labor to make it successful. Why is it outside the box to take some of those 27,000 average, right, that are not finishing and starting high school? Why is it outside of the norm to say, okay, high school may not be for you, let's fuel your GED. If Shell wants to fuel students' GED so that they can go to San Jack, they can go to Pasadena or Lee College and pursue a trade. Look, the average pipe fitter right now is making $46,000 a year. The average freight transporter right now is making over $100,000 a year. That's just freighting pipes back and forth from Louisiana to Texas. We need to redefine education. Redefine it by allowing individuals to tap into their passion instead of defining what education is for them. Because then they lose the passion. Why is it that we can promote athletes to go on and play baseball or football or basketball and then make their millions and go to school in the summer, but we can't promote our children to do the same? Why not have a child say, listen, you don't like school, that's fine. You had a child, you're forced to get your GED. That doesn't mean you're not successful. You don't have to go to college right now if you don't want to. Why don't you do this? You can get your GED, go through the Shell program, come out making 46, 65, or 100 grand a year, and then put yourself through school at night, and in 5 to 6 years you have your bachelor's education with no debt. Why is that outside the box? Because the normalcy right now is you go to college because that's what success is, and then you're forced to be indebted to the government for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, even 30 years, depending on what kind of education you get and what kind of job you can get afterwards. Opposed to the individual that says, GED, Shell program, I go right into making $46,000 a year, I go to school in 5 years, I have my bachelor's with no debt. Redefining education. Why are we so eager to be enslaved to the government? It doesn't make any sense at all when you think about it.
You oppose raising taxes. Now, you were a business banker for Wells Fargo, business executive officer for North Texas Dental Consultant, and business director for South Texas Dental. So with your business experience, how can you bring in revenue without raising taxes? What are your ideas in doing that?
Well, it's kind of twofold. I hate to always go back to him, but he's my man, Frederick Douglass. We stood for 3 things: political agitation, self-reliance, and collaboration. In business, it's the same thing. If you want to get anything done in business, you've got to have a politician. Politicians have the power to create legislature, to create statutes and laws that don't stifle business, that give you business opportunities. It frees or it restricts. We know that. You got to have some political education to make that happen. In order for us to understand economic self-reliance, as Frederick Douglass was the advocate for, then we have to get individuals to aspire to have that type of freedom, i.e. entrepreneurship, economic freedom. And that won't come unless we teach it. The way business comes in is that I totally believe in business collaboration. Businesses are concerned about their bottom line and their profit. Well, if you can convince a business that it's profitable for them to make an investment into the lives of the people in their area, it's advantageous for them to take advantage of it. If you can convince them to think long term instead of short term. Not short term goals. Short term goals limit you.
Right.
But a long term profitable marketing scheme to local private sector businesses. The only reason why local businesses aren't really jumping at and biting at the bit, they don't see the return. Look at where our people are going. Most of minorities are going to jail. It's a sad situation. You and I not being in jail right now is a phenomenon, simply because of our color alone. Sad, but it's true. And we can pretend and ignore it all day, and pretend like we aren't the lesser. But when it comes to having a conviction, we have proven ourselves by not giving back, not creating businesses, and depending on others for all these different opportunities. Instead of us looking for a handout in the area of business. This is one thing I was huge about when it came to business creating collaboration in my prior company, is that we can't do it alone. If we want to have a healthcare fair, then we can't be the only one sponsoring, and we can't have the same people there. We need to be total body, right? In order for me to get those type of sponsorships, I had to go to the private sector to get funding to promote it. And the private sector always wants to know, what am I benefiting from it? So in the areas of healthy employees, from people coming through with better care teeth, all those different things, you can convince a company it's worth their investment. And if they see it, they give quickly. But thank God for me, I was born with the gift of gab, right? So pretty much sell anything. But I'm not a seller. I'm just a passing comment, right? A person sees that I'm really serious and I have an answer. Because people aren't really interested in talking anymore.
Right.
We have a lot of people that can talk. People are looking for answers. And it's the answers that inspire people. And so you come up with an answer and they go, oh man, that guy, he has a great answer. That's what I've been looking for. Boom. And then it's like adhesive. You know, it just draws people to the opportunity. And I think in the area of business, my history, I can see what businesses want as a politician. I'm able to give them the answers to how they can profit from it. I think that's going to be an awesome opportunity for us.
Now, according to the data that I put up, the district is predominantly Democrat. Do you think you even have a chance?
Let me tell you like this. It is impossible for me to win. Impossible. And that's why I'm certain I'll win. I'm certain. Because people are tired. And everyone has felt this is impossible. I mean, think about why you vote or why you cheer on the underdog. A lot of people wait for someone to fall. They wait. My district has been waiting. They haven't seen anyone with the nerve, and some things that I can't say on record, to run against this guy. They haven't seen it. Every time I go out, someone says, you run against who? About time. People have been waiting. We have an individual who has had no reason to be on this P's and Q's, so he has had no reason to answer to its community. He's no reason to be a soldier, to be a voice, to be an example. None. He has no reason to be on his toes because no one has tested him. Now, I have a great crossover. I'm African American. My background is African American. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't go to all the great colleges. You know, I didn't go to the school that was just, you know, predominantly full of whites or predominantly full of blacks. You know, my history is much like many African Americans. Simple. Very simple. And so it gives me a form of relatability. I'm not a New Yorker or some Yankee from the South, born in the South, raised in the South, and all I know is the dirty, and I ain't going nowhere. So, for me, having that relatability to my people, especially African Americans, is the one thing that I think African Americans will appreciate, especially since there hasn't been an African American Republican since the Reconstruction over 150 years ago. That's something that you just haven't seen and don't see, and we have an opportunity to make history. And we know how about black folks feel about making history. 4 years ago we made history. And no one thought there'd be an African American president. Who the heck is thinking there's going to be an African American Republican that's going to make a difference? Well, usher in R.W. Bray.
To learn more about R.W. Bray and the issues facing our state, you can visit his website at www.bray4texas.com. That's www.bray, BRAY, 4, Texas, TEXAS.com. I'm JB.